What if the whole point of a question wasn't actually to find an answer, but to just live inside the question itself? Well, today we're going to dive into a really profound and honestly pretty challenging form of meditation, all through the incredible metaphors of a Korean Seon master, Subal Sunim. It's this journey into the mind, and it's all guided by one single burning question.
And it all really begins with this one specific feeling. You know the one, a question that's just burning so deep and so urgent that you literally can't even find the words for it. The master says this is the starting point. It's this desperate, overwhelming need to know something, but you're just completely unable to even form the question.
Okay, so this burning, unspeakable question, it's actually the very heart of the practice. It has a name, the Hwadu, the questioning mind.
So a Hwadu, it's not some kind of riddle that you solve with your brain, right? It's not something you think about. It's a state you live in. It's all about sustaining that raw, intense feeling of, what is this? Without trying to slap some easy answer on it. You've got to keep that existential doubt alive and just let it burn.
All right, so where do you even begin with something like that? What's the first task on this journey? Well, the master compares it to something kind of slow, really laborious, and let's be honest, totally unglamorous. It's all about polishing the mirror.
I want you to really picture this. Imagine someone just hands you this rough, lumpy piece of copper and says, make a mirror. Now, you can't just start polishing the bumps, right? That's not going to work. No. First, you have to do the really hard work of hammering it flat. And only then can you start that patient, seemingly endless process of polishing, until finally one day you can actually see your own face in it. That's exactly what the start of this practice feels like.
And this just illustrates the reality of it so perfectly. The master says that in the beginning, your focus is coarse. Your mind is totally unrefined. It is not this delicate, peaceful experience. Not at all. It feels just like you're wrestling with that rough piece of copper. It's clumsy, it's difficult, and wow, does it demand a ton of patience.
Okay, let's move to the next stage, because after all that polishing comes a true ordeal. The master describes the core of the practice with an even more intense metaphor, a single carp trying to swim up a raging waterfall.
And get this, when you're at the bottom of that waterfall, there are no clever techniques, no shortcuts, no life hacks. The teaching is super blunt. You just have to throw yourself at it. It's about sheer brute force commitment, just crashing against that overwhelming power of the water over and over and over again.
And the rules for this climb? Man, they are absolutely unforgiving. Think about it. One single stray thought, and boom, you'll fall. You can't help anyone else. You're barely hanging on yourself. There's no way to measure your progress, and even if you're like 99% of the way there and you slip, you're right back at the beginning, from scratch.
So this brings up a huge paradox, right? The master basically says that with your own power, you could die and be reborn 1,000 times, and you'd still never make it up that waterfall. Your own personal effort is doomed to fail. So, if that's true, how in the world does anyone ever get to the top?
And here's where we get the subtle but totally profound answer. The breakthrough isn't something you achieve, it's something that happens to you. The master says that right at that moment of your most sincere, most desperate, all-out effort, a mysterious push comes. It's like some external force meets your struggle and just carries you over the edge.
So what happens after you finally get over that waterfall? Well, it's a complete transformation. But this rebirth, this enlightenment, it's described with another really powerful metaphor that shows both its pain and its incredible beauty.
The whole experience is compared to a butterfly emerging from its chrysalis. And I want you to think about both sides of that. First, there's the immense, painful pressure of that struggle, this large body forcing its way out of a tiny, rigid shell. But then, right after that ordeal, comes the absolute wonder and exhilarating freedom of that butterfly's very first flight in a huge, wide-open sky. The struggle and the release, they're both part of the very same event.
But listen, getting there is incredibly treacherous. The path is just filled with these illusions, things that look and feel like progress, but are actually really dangerous traps designed to lead you completely astray.
So, for example, you might start feeling incredibly peaceful, or maybe you start seeing this beautiful blue sky in your mind's eye, or time just seems to melt away, super effortlessly. Well, according to the master, all of these things are known as Mara's tricks. They feel good, They feel like you're totally succeeding, but they are just subtle distractions that pull your attention away from the real and kinda tasteless work of the Hwadu.
Yeah, the master is super explicit about this. The true practice isn't supposed to feel good. It has no flavor, it has zero entertainment value, no sensory reward whatsoever. If it's fun and pleasant, you're probably caught in one of those traps.
And this is why having a guide is considered absolutely essential. Because on this path, your own feelings are the most unreliable compass you could possibly have. The practitioner, with their eyes closed, is just lost in all these sensations. But the teacher, with their open eyes, gives you a very simple instruction. Stop trusting your own analysis and just follow the guide. That's it. And get this, the practice can even amplify negative sensations. The master warns that you might get these headaches that feel like your skull is literally splitting apart, or back pain so intense it feels like your spine is about to break. These are also distractions. The instruction is to just ignore them, to push right through without getting sidetracked by how intense the feeling is.
Ultimately, it all comes back to this one simple and yet impossibly difficult instruction. Abandon analysis. Abandon judging your progress. Abandon the search for pleasant feelings. Just push forward. Just like that carp, you throw yourself against the current endlessly with an unwavering commitment.
And so, we're left with this final question, which is maybe the biggest Hwadu of all. Why would anyone walk a path with no taste and no fun? Why choose a struggle that has absolutely no guarantee of success? The teaching suggests the answer isn't something you can find with logic. It's found in the trust. The trust that something truly profound is waiting for you, just beyond that waterfall. And that's a question to carry with you.